Welcome to the Delbrook topping off of the Yawkey Housing Resource Center. My name is John Yazwinski, the CEO and President of Father Bill's in Mainspring. I want to thank Delbrook and all of our partners today. As you can see, the project is well on the way. I want to thank the donors that are here today to have a sneak peek of the facility. And want to thank our partners here, our architects, our NeighborWorks, everybody that's been a part of this to make this happen, city officials, of course. It's a wonderful piece, and as you can see, it's happening pretty much on time. We're still looking for the windows. We don't know where the windows are, but we're excited, and everybody's working really hard to bring a beautiful building to the people that are struggling in our community right now with homelessness. So, you know, this will be the parking lot for the Housing Resource Center. And then as we look at the building, really the front entrance of the building will be on the right there. So that's where visitors, people that are in need of services will be entering that area there. So that will kind of be the entryway. This will also be another entryway as you walk in, though. This is going to be on the left side is going to be a licensed healthcare clinic. So even if people might be, you know, struggling with homelessness or at risk, Mannett Community Health Center will be providing the services here, and people can come in and use just the resource center services and don't need the shelter portion. They can come right in if they have appointments and things like that. So we'll have two different entrances for people. Maybe somebody is sleeping outside, has an appointment with the nurse, they can come right into this side and see somebody and then leave. So we'll have separate entrances for people when they want to come in, which is nice. So. April Connolly, our Chief Operating Officer. April has really been, for Father Bill's in Mainspring as the owner and the developer of this, really leading this across the board. So she knows a lot more about what's going on here than I do. So I'll probably ask her to share some things about what's going on in the building quickly also. I also want to highlight, as you can see, these are beautiful buildings. You know, we want you all to come back when we do the ribbon cutting. But Narrowgate Architects, Bob and Dave are architects, so I want to thank them. And then NeighborWorks, Dave Lovering and Emily Rothschild, they're our clerk of the works, owners reps that are making sure the product is getting delivered on time, close to budget. But really, it's a great team, of course, with Delbrook. So this right here, this wall will not be here. So when somebody walks in, this will be the lobby. So think of it as we walk into that area, this will be the lobby. This side of the building will be the healthcare center. So you can see compared to when you go to if you've been to Father Bill's place, you're talking about a healthcare center that is about half of the size of where we're standing right now. Where you can see there's going to be a lot of medical and behavioral health services that are going to be offered within this building here. April, I don't know if you can speak to a little bit about what's kind of happen on this side of the building.
Sure. So on the right side here, we'll have offices and meeting spaces. So where we'll have co-located services like rental assistance programs, other behavioral health, substance use services. We'll have space available to those folks to meet with residents on that end, and then there'll be an access point to the housing site, to the apartment building, which connects on that end of the building.
So many of you, of course, have volunteered, served meals at Father Bill's place through your church or your company or your civic group or your family. Again, so this space right here will be the kitchen that will provide 3 meals a day, and it's really going to provide a great space for the volunteer program. You know, we want about 85 to 90% of our meals, we want it to happen, we need it to happen by in-kind resources, volunteer groups, volunteers coming in with the food and serving it. The faith community, like I said, families, companies come in all the time, and so we're really excited about the opportunity that people could come in and you know, if it's with your family or your friends or your colleagues at work or people with your church, you're going to have a much bigger environment to kind of rub elbows and help cook for the people in need here, which is great. You'll have a walk-in freezer and fridge kind of on this side of it, so it's a pretty large kitchen. And then what you'll have on this side will be the dining room. So this will be where the dining room is, but it'll be a multi-purpose room. So it won't just be a dining room for the guests that are staying here, but it'll be a room where there's resources so we can break up the room and have classrooms if we want to have AA meetings, NA meetings, financial meetings, whatever it might be. Groups can come in and separate and we can have it going on. So daytime, people may not need to live here, but they're here during the day maybe to come to a class or something. It gives us some more room. So this will be a multi-purpose room, but the core of it is for dining. And then you'll be able to, as we walk through quickly, you'll be able to see what the outside is starting to look like in a sense of an outdoor gathering place where the guests can go out and sit and relax and things like that. So we'll kind of take a tour that way. Bob or Dave, if you guys could speak about any of the green or sustainable pieces of the building that's going on that we've got kind of built into this.
Sure. Let's see. You're going to see around the exterior there are green panels. So a lot of people think of them as zip panels, but they have insulation adhered to the back side of them. So there's continuous insulation. So instead of just having insulation in the stud bays that you would see previously on the buildings, there's continuous insulation that gives a more robust thermal envelope on the building. So the building will be very well insulated. It will be airtight, so it keeps the heat inside the building. And there's also what we have what we call heat exchangers that they'll take the heat that's inside the building, and when it's time to exhaust that air to the outside, they'll transfer its energy to incoming cold air. So it exchanges the heat and becomes much more energy efficient. So all the equipment ends up being able to be smaller because the building has a more robust thermal envelope, it's airtight, and you use less energy. Some other things, David.
Just want to mention that you see the roof forms for both the phase 2, which is the housing building, the Forestry housing building, and this building. They're facing southwest, basically, and that's a good orientation for future solar. But we don't have solar right now in the project, but we've accommodated the form of the building to have the possibility of having future solar.
We also are trying to conserve water or use water wisely, so all the plumbing fixtures are low flow fixtures, so that uses less water in the building. We have really good windows so that
We hope.
less heat loss when they arrive. John, that's right, when you get here, it'll be better. So these are all things that go into making a building much more energy efficient.
Any other questions right now? So just to remember, both these buildings, it's about $24 million project, and we're thankful, of course, the governor and the administration really stepped up and funded this out of round and quickly, of course. But we had to raise $10 million privately to make sure that this building happened, and many of you have helped us get there. But this was the biggest capital and comprehensive campaign that Father Bills in Mainspring has ever done. And I want to thank Katie Riley, our Chief Development Officer, for helping us make that happen. So these will be kind of like some of the community bathrooms and things and showers. So as you know, for daytime services, the shelter component of the project is on the upper floor that we'll take a look at after the topping ceremony. And it allows, one of the things that we want to do is for people that maybe aren't comfortable coming and staying here yet, have them come in, get a meal. If they're living outside, come in and use the bathroom, come in and go to the shower, come in and see the nurse. So the Resource Center is going to hopefully engage with people. Maybe they're facing homelessness, as we've talked about. Maybe they just lost their job. They'll come down here, get a meal, meet with a counselor. Let's focus on how we prevent you from having to come in here. So it's a recruiting building to get people that are outside sleeping. It's also a prevention building for people that are in a home right now but could end up here, is to make sure that they don't end up here. So, thank you. I want to recognize Reverend Sheldon Bennett. I've been at Father Bill since 1996. If you've been in Quincy for the last 30, 40, 50 years, of course, Reverend Bennett was the former leader of the President's Church. And for years, across from City Hall, had a lunch program for many people that were homeless and people that just couldn't afford a hot meal. And he continually felt the pressure of the community to shut that meal down, and was always a leader on we need to help our most vulnerable. He's been on the QCAP board for a long time and has been a real champion of housing for people 0 to 50% median income, our homeless population. We've been together for a long time in the fights, and thank you for all your support. And I want to thank all the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, the planning department that's here today. You guys gave us over $1 million for this project. We really appreciate the confidence and the commitment. So thank you.
Thank you.
So this is now the housing portion of the property in the project. So you can see that the first floor will be more common space that people in the HRC side will be able to utilize, and the tenants that will be in this building here, where there'll be 3 floors of efficiency apartments. April, I don't know if you can speak to kind of like what's on this floor.
Sure. So on this floor are really our office spaces and the general meeting spaces and storage. So there are no residences on the first level of this building. And so as you walk down, there's a computer room and a library area, so residents can have some common areas where they can come and congregate and meet with staff or meet with other services that might be coming in to work with them. And the apartments start on the 2nd floor and the 3rd floor subsequently.
You know, as you guys know, anytime Father Bills has a chance to build housing, we will absolutely fight for it and do it. You know, to know that right now, adding these 30 units of housing here gets our portfolio to over 700 units across the South Shore, which is amazing. I want to recognize the Yawkey people here today, Maureen, another friend that about 1998-99, Father Bill took me over to see you guys, and Father said, hey, please let John tell you about his ideas. And as you can see here, the Yawkey family, the foundation, has given us tremendous support through all the years and has really stood out as, and I hope you're happy with the Yawkey Housing Resource Center. So thank you. Thank you. Also, just wanted to say that we keep getting great news today and every day, because it's so many days, they're tough days, but Nancy Sager from Eastern Bank Foundation is here. She's the president. Eastern Bank, of course, does a lot of housing development with us. with the mortgage and the finance side, but also the foundation's been supporting us for a long time. They supported this project. This project, of course, the public funders are excited about the new model. We're moving now to replicate this in Brockton and replace the mainspring shelter. And so we've got the same building, the components of an HRC and housing that were in pre-development in Brockton. The federal government is giving us free land to do it. So, but it's a lot harder to raise the private money in a gateway city, in a gateway community. But Nancy just shared us the great news that Eastern Bay's going to commit $300,000 towards the next project in Brockton. So, thank you.
We're delighted to be part of it. This model is really outstanding. It's, I don't want to say unique because I hope that it's replicated many places. But I think all of us that have the opportunity to join in, I encourage you to do that.
This on this side is part of the men's dorm, so now we're into more of the resource center on the shelter component here. So think about, we'll be having dividers, of course, whether you've seen the pictures, but this will be the men's dorm for emergency housing. This will be the bathrooms, the sink rooms, toilets, showers on this side. As we proceed over, we also, which we're really excited about, is going to have some space where we have respite programs. So we're going to have partnerships with behavioral health partners and the medical providers. So if somebody is struggling with homelessness, but if you and I go into the hospital and we have maybe a surgery, we go home and we have visiting nurses in care, they'll discharge us. If you don't have a home, you sit in the hospital, even if it's a minor wound or something, because you don't have a place for visiting nurses to come. Behavioral health, maybe you're waiting to get into a hospital or treatment program, but you're homeless, you're boarding in the emergency rooms. So our model is it's more cost effective and it's better for the person not to sit in the inpatient or in the emergency rooms, but come here and the visiting nurses and behavioral health specialists could come here. So on the other side, we'll point off when you see some smaller rooms, that will be medical and behavioral health respite. We piloted this program down in Brockton with the hospital there, Signature. And it's been great cost savings, and it also really is good for the person, which is pretty cool. So we'll make our way over to the female dorm. Any questions about the dorm area? So this area now is more on the female dorms. Usually we'll have about 75 permanent shelter beds in the building, and we can flex up to 126 beds. So you can see here, part of our goal is to reduce the reliance of emergency shelter. So the innovation of, rapidly rehousing people, prevention, diverting people, hopefully then the dormitories continue to not serve as many people. We have the cafeteria, of course, we need for overflow, because we'll always be committed to making sure people have a safe place to stay. But you can kind of see here how the men's dorm is and then the women's dorm. Usually for men and women on individual side across the country, and it's the same in Massachusetts. The homeless individual population for adults breaks down to about 70% are single men or men, and about 30% are females. So, and then as we walk over here, you'll start to get a feel of and we'll make our way out of the respite model. We'll have a couple of rooms there, and then we'll be skipping, sad to say, the apartments, knowing that they're actively putting the beam up and a lot of activity over there. But that building, of course, as you know, we saw the common areas. You'll have efficiency apartments, 30 efficiency apartments. Each unit will have its own kitchenette, a full bathroom, a closet. So it's a little over 300 square feet. It's a model that we've done. We've done about 4 to 5 buildings already, just similar to what you'll see next door, hopefully, when you all come back for the ribbon cut. So, this area here is the respite programs that we're talking about. So you can see they're much smaller. you'll have kind of like a hospital bed printed out, and you'll have kind of the corridor where, the privacy stuff comes over, separate bathrooms for the people that are here. So it's a good space for someone that recovers if you're not in a large dormitory type of area. Again, it's not for somebody who needs a lot of medical care. A lot of times people are recovering maybe from chemo treatment, coming in, recovering from an operation, gives them a place to recover for a couple of days or a couple of weeks. It allows them, the building will be open 24/7. That's a big highlight that we're really pushing. And I will say that the state of Massachusetts had never procured the individual shelter system. They had never said, okay, let's look at the need and let's look at investing in resources. So no matter in the 80s, in all the shelters in Massachusetts, pretty much popped up, like 90% of them popped up in the early 80s. 1982, there was only 2 state-funded shelters, Pine Street Inn being one of them. So there wasn't a lot of homeless people, thankfully, before 1982. But then places like Father Bill's in Main Street in 1984, go across every community in Massachusetts, in this country, shelters started to pop up. So over all the years, the bed rate we got was $26 a day that we got to provide all the services, all the costs for people. And for Father Bill's in Main Street, we've been sheltering 250 people between Brockton, Quincy, and Plymouth for the last several years. And we've never seen an increase because they've never gone out to bid except for certain very small increases. I'm happy to say that they just procured the system, and it will be kind of starting next year. So when Father Bill's in Mainspring put our application in, we didn't ask to pay for shelter. We asked to pay for the resources of a housing resource center with street outreach, prevention, diversion, shelter beds, triage workers to get people out. And I'm happy to say that the state gave us what we asked for the resources, which never happens. Never happens. It speaks to 2 things. One is that the Coalition for Homeless Individuals, a lot of shelter and housing providers like Father Bill's, St. Francis House, Pine Street Inn, stepped up and really pushed the state government this past year to say, if this pandemic has done a few things, it's highlighted the lack of housing response we really have. And that then, knowing that they had the resources up at the State House, thankfully both everybody, Senate, House, the governor, everybody said, yes, it's time to invest in solutions and not just manage homelessness. So it feels like, things in the sense of just on the housing side, we're worried that, we're always going to have to just continue to fight. And we'll keep fighting for more housing. But just to say that we're very excited that people, even in the public side sector, are understanding this new law, that are investing in it, just like all of people from the public, local government, and the private community, of course. Father Bill's in Mainspring is part of a continuum of care. There's probably about 5,000 of them in the country, and that's where HUD puts their money. You have to go through the continuum of care. And so Quincy, Weymouth, Plymouth County, we have our own continuum. We have a board. The city of Quincy, the planning department here, actually is the lead applicant. And so Father Bill in Quincy, in Plymouth, it's not as big as Worcester. It's not as big as Cambridge. It's not as big as a lot of the communities that have the COC. The Lowells, the Lawrences, the Fall Rivers, the New Bedfords. Through the years, though, our COC has always been ahead of the curve in the sense of getting rid of transitional housing and calling it permanent. And saying, we need more housing, and we've always performed well on the progress reports that HUD judges you. So through the years, what we realized is that our COC has leveraged more money from the federal government for the model we want here than any other community, except for Boston, because they get a ton of money, of course. We would not be able to do this through the years to develop the 700 plus units of housing that Father Bill's has, places like other organizations that do this work in our region. Without Sean Glennon from the City of Quincy and the Planning Department, because he's been a champion from day one on making sure that the HUD homeless money has a seat at the table in the City of Quincy. Thank you, Sean. Well, again, I want to thank everybody for coming today. Thank Delbrook, knowing they probably weren't ready for all the distractions of me saying, yeah, we're giving everybody these long tours, but appreciate all the support, appreciate our development team, and look forward to seeing all you guys in the spring with the ribbon cutting. So, thank you, everybody.
Why is today so important for Father Bill's Mainspring?
You know what? This has been a dream that we've had ever since Father Bill and the interfaith community opened up Father Bill's in 1988, was to take the sign down at Father Bill's. And yeah, we haven't ended homelessness for everybody, but it's a great day today because what we see is a new model. We see 30 new units of permanent housing and a resource center, just not a shelter. And so I think for the last 25 years that I've been a part of this mission, I've always taken it to be like, let's be solution based. And I think what today talks about is that the dream and the hard work of believing that we can do better than just provide a big shelter and a warehouse model. And so it's exciting to see that the project is happening and we're close to opening the doors in the new Yawkey Housing Resource Center.
What is the timeline from here on out for the new center?
We are looking at, for the Housing Resource Center, to finish construction by the spring, and we'd hope to have occupancy, by late spring, and then the 30 units of housing should be by the summertime.
There is still an emergency shelter component to this. How will that differ from the current emergency shelter?
Yeah, no. So really what we're going to be doing is trying to run the emergency shelter like a medical emergency room. We're going to really focus on us triaging people, assessing people, and if we can rapidly rehouse them immediately, we're going to give them the financial resources. So first, last security. If somebody comes to us and they're facing homelessness, we're going to give them the money to stay in their apartment. So it's really trying to get upstream to develop more innovation and progressive engagement up front. So we're hoping to reduce the length of stays that right now exists at Father Bill's.
You mentioned during the tour about community outreach and triage. How will that actually work? How will you contact the folks that need this center?
So what we're going to be doing is we're going to have street outreach workers, people outside, outreaching to people that are sleeping outside. We're going to let all the other providers, like the Quincy Community Action Programs, Interfaith, they all are going to know we are here. So if you're seeing people that are coming to you for utility assistance, prevention assistance, get them on our radar, let them know we're here, and get a hold of them ahead of time before they end up having to walk here for a shelter bed.
Talk a little bit about the funding, and are you there now for finishing this project?
So our goal, we had to raise $24 million both from public and private. Happy to say that we've raised the $10 million in private needs to go to the project, and we're just a couple $100,000 off from the goal. So we're very excited.
What's going to happen to the old shelter, John, once you close the doors?
It's a city building, and so the city, of course, probably will be, the city will be, we'll take about a month after we open to move people in, and then it'll become the city's property, and I think that's going to be the future parking garage area. So,
has the supply chain issues impacted your project here?
A little bit, but you know what? Everything seems to be okay. I think I've made a few jokes that the windows should have been here about maybe 6 weeks ago, and we have no idea where they are. But overall, we're hanging in there, both with the cost and the product that's coming here, thankfully.
I'm curious, what's the reaction been to the current population at Father Bill's about this new center? They see it going up right across the street.
I think people are, when we go into the building, they look at it and say, I want to go to the housing. And that's what we want. We don't, I hope that the people who are in the building now do not have to use the resource center for a shelter, and that's the goal. So, they're excited about am I going to get an opportunity now? we have over 100 people in the building. We only have 30 units here. We're not going to be able to accommodate everybody. But I think thing I'm excited about too is like, yes, it's still an emergency shelter, and we want people to move on. But this is going to be providing a lot of dignity to people with a new facility like this.